faster. Boom, going to the maximum. I'm going to the maximum. I'm going to the maximum.
So, who here wants to know about branding and branding in Web3 and how it's shifting, right? So, thank you so much. I'm going to start with our panelists, and I'm going to have each of you just do a 30-second intro. Tell us about your 30-second intro and one thing you're excited to talk about today.
Okay. Hello, I'm RC Pajaro. I'm the co-founder of NFT Philippines. So we're one of the premier NFT groups in the Philippines, and we have a community of 30,000 members. And we're almost 2 years old, and I'm happy to talk about NFTs, Web3, and how to brand them, and how I brand them, and everything in between. Yeah.
Fantastic. Welcome.
Hi guys, I'm Harry Santos. I am the co-founder and chief marketing officer of Stanable. So we make it very easy for creators to mint NFTs in a few clicks. And for their fans to collect even without getting into crypto, you can buy with Gcash, Maya, and we work with a lot of celebrities, influencers. Our app is available on Google Play Store and App Store. Please check it out.
Hi guys, my name is Diane Lee. I'm a Web3 content creator and vocalist from South Korea. I create audio-visual content using NFTs and the narratives derived from those NFTs with my voice. So simply put, I make music videos using my voice and NFTs. I'm running a project called Dane Effect. It's not a NFT project, but it's a Web3 project. So all the content that I make and all the moves that I make in Web3 is every part of Dane Effect. So now we're in the middle of this panel session as well. And I'm also a community manager of Gangster NFT and a host of Open Mic in musician community called Art Forest in South Korea. And I'm getting ready for my Christmas concert lately.
Hi everyone, my name is Christopher Starr. I am the marketing and community director of Green Token. It's a Web3 sustainability project based out of Hong Kong. We haven't really fully launched yet, but super excited to share more about that soon. I'm also the co-founder of Web3PH, where we advocate education and adoption of Web3 in the Philippines. We've also recently held a community event called Web3PH Summit. On top of that, I'm also a mentor of startups. I'm also a content creator. I have my own podcast. So I'm super excited to learn from my co-panelists and also meet all of you guys later. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all for joining us on this conversation. I want to start with kind of a baseline with regards to branding. What can branding do when you are focused, intentional, and strategic? I mean, starting at the baseline when we talk about branding, why it matters, what can it really do for you? Anyway, Harris, let's go to you because I know we talked about community.
So I think, even with Web 2 or Web 1, Web 3, even before the internet, branding has always been important, right? Branding is perception. It's the story behind a product or a service, right? So this is something that would affect perception. And as you know, in Web 3, perception is very important. So I think branding is there to give that narrative and story to your product or service.
And what do you guys feel the results are when you're able to do that with your branding? Aside from making money, but
Influence. Like a lot of people look up to you. For example, in our group, our branding is NFT Philippines. So what do we talk about, NFT and Philippines? So our branding is education. Our branding is revolving around education, about supporting Filipino projects, and supporting Filipino talents, supporting local projects like our panelists here. And if you are focused on your branding, you can do so much and influence so much and be like a beacon of hope in a world of rug pulls and everything. So yeah, that's...
Yeah, I mean, I would just say it builds a lot of loyalty and it can really further what it is that you're doing. When we look at the opportunities within Web3 and branding, how is it that you feel you've gone about it in a way that has best served your projects? Diane.
Can you repeat the question? I couldn't
What
hear
are the,
it.
so what are the opportunities, what are the opportunities to brand yourself in Web3?
Well, I think people spend money to certain brand means that they are not only purchasing on the product from that brand, but also they're purchasing the value that the brand pursues, and that purchase means that those people relate to what brand pursues. So when it comes to branding, it's really, I think people who brand themselves or brand something have to focus on building integrity of the brand, because that's where all the connection starts. And especially in the Web3, people who are interested in your brand or your project gather in social medias like Twitter and Discord, and you get the chance to communicate directly with them. So that kind of the opportunity to communicate directly with the people who are interested in what you're doing is the best opportunity in Web3.
What has been, I mean, I'm literally trying to kind of dive into, branding. We have branding in the real world, and then we have branding in Web3 and the opportunities. So whether it's design of clothes, design of furniture, design of spaces, what have you guys found yourself most excited about, and finding opportunities for young people getting into the space or newer people getting into this space? Does that make sense?
Well, I guess one of the exciting things that I can think of is obviously the opportunity as we all hopefully move towards metaverse. And then now you're starting to think about, okay, is it just about having an avatar? But then in real life, we're not just about the clothes we wear, it's also our different interactions. So whether you're a company or an individual, whether you like it or not, whether you're intentional or not, you do have a personal brand. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of that, whether you're a marketer or not. When you ask your friends, and you're not in the room, to describe you, and they say you're this jolly person, you're very helpful, that's your personal brand. Now think about that, and you move it to a metaverse, whether we will start working on the metaverse or as a gamer or as a content creator. What is your brand in there? I think is something very exciting to think about. Right now, we're thinking of NFTs, for example, in terms of digital ownership, right? Because then what they say is that you don't really have freedom until you have the rights to own something. And part of the thing that you should be able to own is your brand. And I'm just very excited about how to imagine that in terms of the metaverse. Does that make sense? Because right now, we do play games, we do have Zoom calls, for example, but I think it's still very attached to in real life. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities in the metaverse that would change how we interact with each other. And I think that's where branding is going to be very important, because you don't have physical interactions with one another, and so your only interaction with other people would probably be your avatar on the metaverse, and the avatar doesn't really represent anything until you actually understand what branding is. And that's why I'm saying go back to in real life, whether you like it or not, you guys have a personal brand. And it's no different from once you have an avatar in the metaverse, if that makes sense.
Right, I mean, I'm thinking about why people will look at a logo and we can recognize it, right? We know the Nike logo, we know the Shell gas station in America, we know these things, and that's because of the brand that they've built. So looking at the opportunities as we transition from the real life into Web3 is exactly what I was getting at, so thank you so much. When we talk about integrity, Meta was something that really a lot of people, or Facebook, Meta, violated these codes for us as users, we feel, many of us, and then you have what just occurred with FTX. How do you build the integrity along with your brand in still a culture scape that's changing and people are not always trusting of it? I mean, does that make sense? Harris?
So, speaking of personal brand, SBF, the founder of FTX, he had a branding of, we all thought he was a genius, right? We all thought he was like a savant, a genius at trading, and therefore we trusted him, you know. So that's how important personal branding is. But now, given that, given the things that happened, I think more than that, more than just branding, you have to show track record. You have to show that, hey, more than just a genius or what I'm trying to sell when I'm on stage, I have this track record of not being a scammer or a fraudster. And I think that's very important. You know, just recently on social media, a lot of people were saying, Filipino projects, that's all rug pulls, right? So now more than ever, we should have that, more than branding, we should have action and track record.
Yeah, to add to that, what happened with Facebook with they gave out data and everything. So that's what's wrong with Web2. The data is owned by the company. With Web3, the data is owned by you. You have the key to your data. So that's what we are trying to help promote to the people. So we're also trying to help onboard a lot of people into Web3 through education, through a lot of these things, through helping artists, through helping startups promote to the community, and to helping a lot of other community founders ensure that Web3 will be the next internet.
How are communities and entrepreneurs utilizing Web3 to further projects? I think, Diane, we had a conversation about that. You know, you've used NFT to further your projects. How are communities doing the same as you?
Well, a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of projects are using NFTs as like membership or tickets. Like they're using, for example, like Starbucks are using NFTs and memberships. And I think this is a period where some novel innovations can be made, like more than tickets. So actually I am planning a Christmas concert this December, and I made NFTs as a ticket, but this is more than ticket, because when you mint that NFT, you'll get the first image, and the next week this will turn into another image, and when you go to the concert, you get some merch, and it goes like the utilities goes on and on and on. So I think people several trials should be made in this market. Like I think people should be brave to make several trials.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So really quick, I know we're going to wrap up right now, and these things go by so fast, but I appreciate it. Before I go, just if you can, in closing, quickly, each of you talk about what for you has been your primary go-to strategy on branding in Web3.
Maintaining image, because there's a lot of NFT projects, especially when it comes to NFTs, and Filipinos. Filipinos have, in the international, Filipinos, whenever they hear, oh, a Filipino is holding my project, they will sell below floor price. So like, they call it Pinoy hands. So that's what we are here for. We are trying to provide a better platform for Filipinos internationally to be known more than just Pinoy hands, but to be known as great artists, as great developers, as great talents. More than just singing, more than just dancing, more than just the creatives, but we are also capable to be on par with international talents.
Amazing. Thank you, Harris.
So for me, branding, as I've mentioned, you know, it shouldn't just be visual. It shouldn't just be something that, you know, you show people. You should take action in it. You should have track record. You should show credibility. You know, in Web2, there's usually a funnel where you create awareness and then you consideration and then you convert. Here, the last part, the loyalty happens at the beginning. You know, you create communities even before they buy from you. You create that loyalty program even before selling. So, you know, that's a big reverse in how we do things, and I think that's very important in Web3.
Thank you.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you just said. Like people in Web3, we don't for the creators in Web3, we don't really have to look for like bunch of agencies or companies to handle all those stuffs. Creators can actually own the whole production process. So I think anyone who wants to have your own brand, I think they can all make it.
I think I like to look at it from 3 lenses. From a personal perspective, from a project perspective or company, and finally also somewhat relating to our community. I think it's important to look at branding in Web3 right now is kind of like a blank canvas, that we have a lot of influence to change, especially on the community side, like what was mentioned earlier. There is that branding that Filipinos or the Philippines is becoming quickly the Web3 capital, or at least trying to position itself as a Web3 capital or blockchain capital of the world. But also there's that other side where we're known for bad projects and stuff like that. So I want this to be kind of like a challenge for everyone in the room, that we need to not be afraid that there's so many opportunities for us to actually influence the branding of our community, of our project, and also us as individuals. And I feel like because it's so new, it's a space that's so new, there's so much opportunities for everyone. If you're kind of like known as like, oh, I'm just an accountant, what's in it for me as, you know, in Web3, maybe you can become the first most important accountant on Web3. Does that make sense? Like there's that opportunity right now because it's so new, you should be able to take advantage of it rather than you're looking at it from the lens of, I'm too afraid because it's something new and I don't know anything. It's actually the opposite. You don't know anything, that's why it's beautiful, because nobody does, and there's so much opportunity for every one of us.
Amazing. Well, I thank you guys so much for your time. It's been wonderful, and I think that's it. We're ready to go, yeah? So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
You guys. Thank you. Can we give them a warm round of applause, please? Thank you.
Philippine Blockchain Week. See you next year.